Hi, I'm Chris Haigh and this is the Fiddle channel, and today we're going to play It Don't Mean a Thing. It Don't Mean a Thing is a great jazz standard for the violin. There was an excellent version on the album called the Jazz Violin Summit, which is well worth watching, with 4 jazz violinists all having a go at this. Also a couple of excellent recordings by Django and Stephane from 1935 and by Stephane Grappelli with George Shearing a bit later. I'm going to refer to both of those. It was written in 1931 by Duke Ellington. I'm going to show you the basic melody. I'm going to suggest that you don't learn the basic melody. We're going to have a little look at the chords and some ideas for improvisation. Let's start off with playing through the melody more or less as it's written. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now as regards the melody, first of all, the first line, there's lots of different ways of phrasing this, and I definitely wouldn't stick with what I've just played or what you might find written. So some singers will sing "It don't mean a thing," whereas other singers will sing "It don't mean a thing." So you've got different ways of playing. You can play "It don't mean a thing" or "It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing." And I suggest, because this is going to come 3 times round in the whole sequence, then you do it differently every time. You might want to split up some of the crotchets. When it comes to this bit, if you want to play exactly as it's written, then do it down at the heel. You can improve the sound of it by doing a parallel fifth, where you put your finger over both the B flat and the F natural above it. Or you could do B flat with a octave above it. And if that's ever so slightly out of tune, it doesn't really matter, it just kind of thickens up the sound. It looks kind of complicated, the ba 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 ba. It's actually a really simple phrase, but again, you don't have to play it exactly like that unless you're playing in unison with other lead players, and I would say that's probably not going to be very likely. When you get to the bridge, something like that, you've got a lot of freedom there as to what you actually do with it. And if you listen to the either of those 2 Grappelli records that I mentioned, then you will find that both he and Stephane, in fact, only play the first line of the melody. So what you're going to get is much more like this. So only that one phrase, that one 4 bars is all you really need to make this recognisable as the melody. Notice that I went up an octave for the final melody, the final A section, and this is a very good thing to do either in the middle of a tune or on a repeat just to take it up, providing it's in a reasonable key, so it's not going to be taking you up beyond third position. So yeah, that works well. Now I'm going to show you a few licks that I garnered from those two recordings. Octave Ds is a good one. And there's quite a few places you can do that. You can either do it there, third position with the first finger on the D note on the A string, and then a fourth finger above it, or a D with a D above it. And I'll show you a couple of places where you can play that. Let me just show you, I'll just slow down the rhythm of that. So we're doing a series of threes, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, and then 2 2s, 1, 2, 1, 2. Down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you could see that it works pretty well at the end of every line. There's a nice little lick that Django does in his solo, and that is slowed down with a lot of swing to it. So don't try and play them even, play them da 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 da. And again, this is going to fit in a lot of places and over quite a few chords. Now obviously he doesn't do anything like as long as that, and I was just kind of stretching the point. But just to show you that a lick like this that fits into a tune like this can be used almost anywhere in the sequence. This is an easy chord sequence. And notice how, if you look at the first line, we have G minor over F flat, G minor over F sharp, G minor over F, C7 over E, E flat 7, D7, G minor. Now you could spend a week studying that line, that chord sequence, and most of your effort will be wasted, because that is a sequence designed to make a simple line sound good. So when you play a 3-note phrase and repeat it over and over again, it is changing relative to the chords, but the chords are doing the work, and that's the point of those chords. Is they make it sound interesting what you're playing. You don't have to slavishly follow what those chords are doing. And I'm sure a lot of you have started jazz violin being told that every chord needs its own scale, and this is a classic example of how that is actually a load of rubbish. Only in certain cases does each chord need its own scale. So we got another lick which Grappelli does. It's a kind of a favourite of his. So in this case it's a B flat, 4th finger, G natural on the E string, and an open E. Now played over G minor, the B flat and the G are both expectable notes, shall we say. The E is a bit of a surprise because that's a minor 6 note. So it's kind of the equivalent of playing, but we're doing, and a minor 6 will fit over most minor chords. So let's just try endlessly repeating that lick. Now the one that I did there right at the end is also a great one and very simple. We are sliding up to a D and sliding down again, but we're doing it in parallel fifths, so we're adding the note above, so the third finger is playing both and a D and an A above it. And this will work again at the end of most lines where there's that D7 chord. Now, if you're really lazy and you don't want to follow any of the chords at all, then when it goes to the bridge, you can actually just about get away with playing the G minor pentatonic all the way through that and just pretending those chords weren't there. Let's just hear what that sounds like. So that is a very simplistic and lazy approach, but if you're not sitting in front of an audience full of avid Stephane Grappelli fans, then they won't notice that you're bluffing. They'll just think it sounds pretty relaxed and quite moving smoothly, which is true. But ideally, you do want to pay attention to these are actually 2-5-1s, and I have a video explaining the 2-5-1. So we're going from the two chord, the 5 chord, to the 1 chord, and then another 2-5-1, 5, 1, and then that D7 kind of winds up the end of the line and brings you back to the G minor. So you can follow those chords at the same time as staying within the feel of G minor or B flat, just depending on the choice of notes that you make. But it is better in the long run if you do try and follow those chords. Okay, I hope you found this useful. I'm going to play you out with a solo 3 times round. If you would like a copy of the sheet music for this lesson, then do subscribe to the channel and send me an email. If you would like to get hold of all of my PDFs in one go, and that's I think over 400 of them now, and potentially my backing tracks as well, then do join me on Patreon. Patreon is not a series of lessons that you have to sign up to. It's not a commitment because you can come out after 1 month. It's just a way of you getting a bit of extra stuff and me getting to be able to do this full time. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching. I will play you out with a solo. See you again soon.